Have you ever noticed how love can feel so powerful, yet so fragile at the same time? One moment, it lifts you higher than the sky, and the next, it can break you into pieces you never thought you'd survive. The truth is, relationships don't fall apart because of love. They fall apart because of the lack of emotional maturity. And that's something nobody really teaches us. But today, you're going to learn 6 powerful lessons that can completely change the way you see love, loyalty, and yourself. These aren't just feel-good words. These are truths born out of pain, resilience, and wisdom. If you've ever loved someone who didn't see your worth, or if you've ever questioned whether you're ready for real love, this video will speak directly to you. Because emotional maturity isn't just about saving a relationship. It's about saving yourself. And once you master it, you'll never look at love the same way again. Just because you lost me as a friend doesn't mean you gained me as an enemy. This line carries a wisdom that our generation often overlooks. Most people believe that when a relationship ends, whether it's a friendship, a romance, or even family ties, it automatically has to turn into war. If you're not with me, you must be against me. But real emotional maturity says the opposite. It teaches us that walking away doesn't require bitterness. You can let someone go and still keep your peace. You can lose someone without turning them into your enemy. Think about it. How many times have we seen relationships collapse and immediately transform into battles of ego, gossip, or silent wars? In today's world of screenshots, subtweets, and Instagram stories, people feel the need to prove they've moved on or show who was wrong. But deep down, all of this only reveals immaturity. Because if you truly know your worth, you don't need to tear the other person down to stand tall. The one who spoke these words knew this truth from personal experience. He had friends who betrayed him, people he loved who didn't stay loyal, and a world that often misunderstood him. Yet, instead of seeking revenge every time, he chose dignity. He understood that letting go doesn't mean becoming enemies. It means valuing your own peace over unnecessary conflict. That's emotional maturity. Now, let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you gave your heart to someone, whether as a friend or a lover. You trusted them, shared your secrets, supported their dreams. Then one day they betrayed you or simply walked away. The first instinct most people have is anger. You want to show them you don't care, or maybe you want to hurt them back. But here's the hard truth: every time you let revenge guide your steps, you're still tied to them. You're still giving them power over your emotions. Real strength comes when you say, I release you, not with hate, but with indifference. You no longer control my peace. That's the level of maturity missing in so many relationships today. People confuse detachment with hatred. But letting go without anger is one of the highest forms of growth. It shows that you value your inner world more than the noise outside. For today's generation, this lesson is powerful. In love, it means you don't need to post every detail of your breakup online. You don't need to prove you're winning the who moved on first competition. Instead, you quietly heal, focus on your growth, and let your silence speak louder than any revenge post ever could. In friendships, it means understanding that not every ending needs to be dramatic. Some people were simply chapters, not the whole book. They came to teach you something, and when their role is over, you turn the page without burning the whole story. In success and mindset, this principle applies just as strongly. When someone doubts you, leaves you, or underestimates you, you don't waste time fighting them. You prove them wrong by elevating yourself, not by showing them you're better, but by becoming better. This quote reminds us that emotional maturity is about choosing peace over pride. It's about understanding that closure doesn't come from confrontation, but from acceptance. You don't need to hate people to move on. You don't need to turn love into war. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is to simply walk away, head held high, with your soul intact. So the next time someone leaves your life, remember these words. Losing them doesn't mean they gained an enemy. It means you gained wisdom. And that wisdom will carry you further than any revenge ever could. The realest people don't have a lot of friends. At first glance, this sounds harsh. In today's world, where people measure their worth by followers, likes, and the size of their circle, this truth cuts deep. But if you sit with it for a moment, you'll realize it's not about loneliness. It's about loyalty. Emotional maturity means understanding that quality will always outweigh quantity when it comes to relationships. Think about it. How many people can you truly trust with your secrets, your fears, your dreams? Most people don't have dozens of people they can lean on when life gets heavy. The real ones, the ones who are honest, loyal, and authentic, are rare. And because they're rare, you don't find them in large numbers. The man who spoke these words lived this reality. Despite being surrounded by fame, lights, and crowds, he often said that true friends were hard to come by. He experienced betrayal not from strangers, but from those who once stood close to him. That's the kind of heartbreak that teaches you an important lesson. Not everyone who smiles at you is with you. Not everyone who calls you family will stand by you when the storm hits. Here's the emotional truth many people don't want to face. Sometimes the people you think will ride with you forever are the first to jump ship when things get hard. That's why emotional maturity means you stop expecting loyalty from everyone. You understand that most people are in your life for convenience, not commitment. And when you realize this, you stop being bitter about it. Instead, you learn to cherish the few who are real and let go of the ones who only came for the ride. Let me take this deeper with a story. Imagine someone who shares their success with a wide circle, friends at parties, people in the spotlight, everyone wanting to be around while things are good. But the moment that person faces challenges, suddenly the crowd thins out. That's when reality hits. Only 2 or 3 people truly check on you, truly care about your pain, truly stick around when there's nothing to gain. That moment can be painful, but it's also liberating because now you see who's real. For today's generation, this lesson couldn't be more relevant. We live in a culture that celebrates numbers, 100K followers, 500 likes, a big social circle. But none of that guarantees loyalty. What really matters is the handful of people who pick up the phone at 2 a.m. when your world feels like it's falling apart. The ones who don't just cheer for your victories, but also sit with you in silence during your failures. And here's the practical side when you realize this truth. You stop chasing validation from everyone. You stop giving pieces of yourself to people who haven't earned it. You set boundaries. You learn that not every friend is a forever friend, and that's okay. Because emotional maturity means choosing depth over numbers, substance over surface. So if you've ever felt like your circle is small, don't be discouraged. It doesn't mean you're unloved. It means you're real. And being real attracts fewer people, but the ones who do stay, they're worth more than 1,000 fake friendships. Remember, emotional maturity isn't about having the most friends. It's about having the right ones. And once you understand that, you'll stop worrying about who left and start appreciating who stayed. Don't change on me. Don't extort me unless you intend to do it forever. These words hold a heavy weight because they expose the one thing every heart craves in a relationship: consistency. Emotional maturity means realizing that love, friendship, or loyalty isn't proven by how intensely someone feels in the beginning. It's proven by how consistently they show up day after day through both sunshine and storms. Think about it. Anyone can love you when it's easy. Anyone can stay loyal when you're winning. Anyone can be your friend when life is smooth. But the true test of maturity is whether that love, loyalty, and respect remain the same when challenges appear, when you're struggling, when you're imperfect, or when life doesn't look glamorous. That's when people either prove who they are or reveal who they've been all along. The man behind these words lived this lesson in the rawest way. Despite giving his heart to people he trusted, he experienced betrayal not once, but multiple times. People who once claimed to ride for him switched sides when pressure came. The same ones who celebrated him in good times turned their backs when things got tough. That's why he said what he said. Not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom earned through scars. Let's be real. This happens in our lives too. How many times have you seen someone swear they'll be there forever, only to walk away when things aren't convenient anymore? It's one of the deepest cuts we can feel, watching someone change on us without warning, seeing their loyalty turn into silence, their promises into excuses. But here's where emotional maturity comes in. You can't control how others act. What you can do is protect your peace, learn from those lessons, and build relationships that value consistency over empty promises. Maturity means not being blinded by someone's sweet words, but watching their actions over time. Do they stay when it's no longer easy? Do they keep showing up when they don't benefit? Do they remain the same person even when things change around them? Here's a story to paint the picture. Imagine a relationship where someone always promises, "I'll never leave you." They say it so often that you start to believe it. But then life throws a curveball, a financial struggle, a tough season, or a mistake. Suddenly, that same person begins to distance themselves. The warmth turns cold, the loyalty fades, and the promises vanish. It hurts deeply. But that pain teaches you one of the most important lessons. Love without consistency is just a performance. Loyalty without action is just a word. For today's generation, this message is more urgent than ever. We live in an age of quick connections and quick disconnections, relationships that start fast and end even faster. But maturity asks us to rise above that cycle. It asks us to be steady in our love, to mean what we say, and to surround ourselves with people who do the same. So how can we apply this practically? First, don't let temporary people distract you from permanent growth. Second, test consistency before giving someone access to your heart. And third, commit to being that consistent person for others. If you love someone, love them in actions, not just words. If you're loyal, stay loyal when it's hard, not just when it's convenient. Because here's the truth: maturity isn't about never changing. Life will change, circumstances will change, even people will evolve. But maturity is about holding steady in your values, your love, and your loyalty, no matter the season. And when you find people who do the same, hold them close. They're rare. They're priceless. They're the proof that consistency is still possible in a world full of change. I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. At its heart, this quote is about impact. It's about understanding that emotional maturity in a relationship doesn't mean you have all the answers or that you'll never make mistakes. It means being willing to start honest conversations, to spark change, and to nurture growth even when it's uncomfortable. So many relationships today break down not because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of communication. Feelings are bottled up. Pain is hidden. Dreams are silenced. And what happens? Resentment builds like a quiet storm until it finally explodes. Emotional maturity is learning that silence doesn't solve problems. Honest, respectful communication does. The man who spoke these words knew the power of sparking a conversation. His life was full of conflicts, struggles, and questions, yet he used his words to challenge people to think differently. He didn't claim to have all the solutions, but he believed in starting the dialogue that could lead to change. And isn't that what relationships need too? Not perfection, but the courage to talk about the hard things. Think of it like this: in any relationship, romantic, friendship, or family, there are always two people with different perspectives. Sometimes those perspectives clash. Emotional immaturity avoids the clash by pretending everything is fine, sweeping issues under the rug. But maturity says, let's talk about it. Let's be honest, even if it's uncomfortable, because I care enough about us to deal with it. That's how love grows. That's how loyalty strengthens. Picture this in real life. Imagine a couple where one partner feels neglected because the other spends too much time working. Instead of bottling up the pain, an emotionally mature person says, "I know you're working hard and I appreciate it, but I miss you. I need more of your time." That conversation might feel vulnerable, even scary, but it prevents resentment and it gives the relationship room to adjust, to heal, to spark change. Now apply this to today's generation. We live in a culture where many people avoid deep talks. We hide behind screens, emojis, or short text instead of opening our hearts. But real maturity means having the courage to sit face to face and say, "This is how I feel. This is what I need. And I want to understand you too." It's not about winning the argument. It's about building understanding. Here's the practical takeaway. If you want a strong relationship, you have to be the spark. Don't wait for the other person to bring up issues. Don't stay silent just to avoid conflict. Speak your truth with love, with respect, and with patience. Emotional maturity is about sparking growth in the relationship, not shutting it down with silence. And beyond romantic relationships, this applies to friendships, work partnerships, and even family bonds. Imagine how different our connections would be if more of us chose honest communication instead of silent suffering. If we chose to spark dialogue instead of letting resentment burn us from the inside. Remember, you don't have to change the whole world to make a difference. You just have to spark one honest conversation that brings healing, one vulnerable moment that deepens love, one brave act of communication that saves a relationship. That's what maturity is all about. Not being flawless, but being fearless in love, fearless in honesty, and fearless in sparking change where it's needed most. During your life, never stop dreaming. No one can take away your dreams. This isn't just a statement about hope. It's a reminder that even in relationships, even when love feels heavy, even when heartbreak feels final, your dreams, your growth, your purpose still belong to you. Emotional maturity doesn't mean you stop caring or stop loving. It means you refuse to let pain take away the fire that keeps you alive. Think about it. So many people lose themselves inside a relationship. They fall in love so deeply that they forget who they were before that love. They give up their passions, they silence their voices, and they set their dreams aside just to please someone else. And when that relationship ends or when betrayal happens, they feel completely empty because they built their entire identity around someone else. That's not maturity. That's dependence. Emotional maturity means carrying your own dreams even while you walk beside someone else. It means saying, I love you, but I won't lose me in the process. And that's exactly what this quote teaches us. No one can truly take your dreams unless you hand them over. If you look at the life behind these words, you see someone who is surrounded by challenges, poverty, betrayal, violence, broken friendships, and public criticism. Yet even in the middle of all that chaos, he refused to let go of his vision. Music was his dream, his tool to speak truth, to fight injustice, and to leave a legacy. And no matter how much the world tried to break him, he didn't surrender that dream. That's the essence of emotional maturity, knowing that your purpose can't be stolen. Now, let's bring this into today's world. Relationships are beautiful, but they're not meant to erase your individuality. Your partner is supposed to walk with you, not walk over your path. Emotional maturity is when you know how to balance love with self-respect. It's when you can give someone your heart without giving up your future. Too often, we confuse sacrifice with love. We think if we stop chasing our goals for someone, it proves our loyalty. But true loyalty isn't about abandoning yourself. It's about growing together. A mature relationship is one where both people can chase their dreams and still hold each other through the struggles. So how do you apply this in real life? First, never stop working on yourself. Whether you're in love or single, keep chasing your personal goals. Write that book, start that business, finish that degree, or create that art. Second, set boundaries. A partner who truly loves you will respect your time, your ambitions, and your need to grow. If they don't, they're not supporting you. They're trying to control you. Third, remind yourself daily that your identity is bigger than your relationship status. You are a whole person, not half of one. Think about the strongest relationships you know. They're built on two complete individuals choosing to grow together, not one person carrying the other. That's why this wisdom is so powerful. No matter who walks in or out of your life, your dreams are untouchable unless you let them go. So here's the truth: emotional maturity in love isn't just about managing emotions or avoiding fights. It's about protecting your purpose. It's about remembering that love is meant to inspire your dreams, not replace them. And if you can hold on to that, then even heartbreak can't destroy you. It can only push you closer to the person you're meant to become. Conclusion: when you really sit back and look at these lessons, they all connect into one larger truth. Emotional maturity isn't about being perfect. It's about being grounded. It's about knowing who you are, protecting your heart without hardening it, and walking into love with strength instead of desperation. We started with the reminder that you can never just be friends with someone you still love. That truth shows us the importance of honesty with ourselves. Too many times, people play games with their emotions, forcing themselves into situations that only bring more pain. But maturity means saying, I deserve better than confusion. It means giving yourself space to heal rather than clinging to something that no longer serves you. Then we learned reality is wrong. Dreams are for real. And in that wisdom, we discovered the power of imagination, the ability to see a future beyond heartbreak, beyond betrayal, beyond the struggle of today. Emotional maturity is being able to dream of a healthier tomorrow, even when your present feels like it's falling apart. It's holding on to vision when reality tries to blind you. We moved on to the deeper truth. You can spend minutes, hours, days, weeks, or even months overanalyzing a situation, or you can just leave the pieces on the floor and move on. That one hit hard because so many of us waste time replaying what went wrong. But maturity is learning that healing doesn't come from picking at wounds. It comes from letting go. You grow stronger when you stop reliving the past and start writing the next chapter of your story. The fourth lesson reminded us, behind every sweet smile, there is a bitter sadness that no one can see. This truth speaks to empathy. Maturity means looking at your partner or anyone you love and realizing that there's always more beneath the surface. It's choosing to listen, to ask, to care instead of judging from the outside. It's the awareness that everyone is fighting silent battles, and love becomes stronger when we learn to see with compassion. And finally, we close with the reminder, during your life, never stop dreaming. No one can take away your dreams. This is the anchor of emotional maturity, knowing that your identity, your purpose, your vision can never be stolen by anyone. Relationships are meant to add to your life, not take from it. Love should elevate you, not erase you. Protecting your dreams while loving someone deeply is the ultimate sign of balance. When you put all of these lessons together, a picture forms. Emotional maturity in a relationship is not about never feeling hurt, never crying, or never struggling. It's about learning how to navigate those moments with wisdom. It's about self-respect, healing, compassion, and vision. It's about understanding that love is powerful, but so are you. And here's the most important part. Maturity doesn't mean you won't get hurt. It doesn't mean people won't betray you or that relationships will always last. It means that when they don't, you'll rise differently. You'll rise stronger, wiser, and more focused. Because you've learned not to let heartbreak define you, but to let it refine you. So if you're listening right now, let this sink in. Maturity isn't something you're born with. It's a choice. Every day, in every relationship, you get to choose whether you'll be controlled by your emotions or guided by them. You get to choose whether love will break you or build you. And once you choose maturity, you'll never go back. Because suddenly, love doesn't feel like a battlefield anymore. It feels like a journey where both people can grow, dream, and thrive without losing themselves along the way. That's the kind of love worth fighting for. That's the kind of love worth waiting for.